Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. Thanks for joining me. Our pose that we're going to focus on today is actually tree pose. Now, tree pose is a wonderful standing balancing posture, but it has another element in it. It's a hip opener. So we're going to take that element and also do a variation of that pose, but in a seated posture. You'll see when we get to it, but mainly tree pose is our focus today. As always, we like to get started in seated, and we like to use some props. I'm sitting on a nice soft blanket, so you can have a blanket or a towel or even a pillow to sit on for a little softness. I also have my bolster here. May not use it in this practice, but it's always just nice to have. I'll just put that to the side for now. And some yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, just go ahead and use some hardbound books or even some smaller pillows. Let's begin in seated and get into breath. So find a comfortable seat. Go ahead and sit on your folded blanket or towel or pillow and feel the lengthening of your spine, sitting up as tall as you can. And you might start with a few deep breaths. A nice full breath in and exhale with a sigh. Do that again. Nice full breath in. Exhale. Good. And just settle into slow, steady breaths here. Deep breaths, audible breathing. I like to think of this as intentional breathing. Breathing on purpose. So you can get a better sense of how you're feeling at this moment and also to settle into this moment. Breathing is the foundation of our practice, which allows us to be here in the moment, more aware, present, and connected. Good. Now you're welcome to keep your eyes opened, and if they are open, just taking a soft gaze forward or downward at the floor, just softening your eyelids, or you can just close your eyes and just continue your journey inward. Slow, steady breaths. This is our breathing meditation. Just focusing on the feeling and the sound of the breath. Good. Just to bring a little bit more awareness to the breath, when you inhale, just feel the breath rising upward to fill the lungs. Very expansive feeling, almost like you're pulling upward, and feel that opening across the chest. Then as you exhale, draw your belly button in towards your spine. It's a slight pulling in sensation. What you're doing is engaging the abdominal muscles. Again, a nice full breath in, feeling the lengthening of your spine, breath rising upward to expand your lungs. The exhale to connect to your center, gently pulling your belly button in towards your spine. Good. Just continue with these sensations, deepening your awareness. Let's now proceed to our moving meditation. A very simple movement, but first take 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out across the room and all the way up towards the ceiling, a nice stretch. And exhale, extend your arms out. Feel as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you as you bring your arms back down to your side. Do that again. A nice full breath in, reaching out all the way up. And exhale, release, reaching outward. Good effort. And just continue this on your own. Don't worry if you're not moving exactly like me, just moving with your own pace of breath. So you might be moving a little faster than me or a little slower. And again, your eyes can remain open with soft eyelids or keep your eyes closed. Mainly just pay attention to what's happening within you. Notice the lengthening through the sides of your body as you reach your arms up into the air. the movement of your shoulders, allowing your arms to move, keeping the energy in your hands and fingers, actively reaching. Feel the lengthening of your spine. Sit up as tall as you can. Even feel an energy move through the very top of your head towards the ceiling. And now these are our instructions that you'll also hear me state when we talk about tree pose. Now finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Take your time. And when you're complete, you'll just bring your arms back down. Let them relax. Your hands can rest on your knees or in your lap, and just notice that transition from a moving body to a now still body. Still sitting up nice and tall, you're going to bring your hands behind you and just prop yourself up onto your fingertips. As the arms come back, your shoulders also roll back. It's a nice opening up through the upper chest area. Also a nice release in the shoulder, the front portion of the shoulder. Do that with both arms. As you push into the floor with your fingers, feel the chest lift and open. Even tip your chin up a little bit. We're creating a mild back bend in this seated posture. Now, inhale and press the fingertips into the earth. Feel your heart lifting, chest expanding as you inhale. Then exhale, continue to pull the belly button in towards your spine. You're going to feel more activation in your body, more energy in your body. Again, press into the earth, inhale. Breath rising to fill your lungs. Exhale, pull belly button in, and as you're able, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you, activating the upper back muscles. Lots more sensation. Let's take 2 more breaths. And when we're complete, just lower your chin, walk your hands toward yourself. Hands just rest on your knees or lap and just sit up nice and tall. Good. Since that was our back bend, let's take a forward fold. If your legs are crossed, we're going to uncross the legs and just bring the soles of the feet together. This is bound angle pose, and a nickname for this is cobbler's pose. Now, if you can draw the heels in close to your body, but that might be sensitive to the knees or even your ankles or even your hips. It's okay to even slide the feet forward so there's not too much pressure or tension in the knee joints. If that's the case, just hold on to your shins. Here, you might even take your books or blocks underneath the knees, especially if they're not touching the floor. Something like this. Rolled up towels or some pillows will also work. As you hold on to the legs, we'll inhale to extend the spine, sitting up as tall as we can. Exhale, draw belly button in and start to hinge forward a little bit, maintaining this lengthened spine as best as you can. This is a great hip opener. As I mentioned, our tree pose is a hip opener in addition to the balancing pose. So we're really getting ready. If you're getting low enough, you might even be able to scoop up the toes if you can reach them. Inhale, maintaining that lengthened spine. Exhale, still pulling belly button in towards spine and hinge from hips a little bit more. Now I'm going to pause right here. Not going any further than this. I probably could go further, but I don't want to force this posture. I want to feel this natural, easy release of tension in the inner legs rather than a forceful one. I don't want to force that tension out. Actually, that just creates more tension. If I take this more gently, it's an easier way to open yourself up. Deep breaths. Going back to that mindful, intentional breathing. Breathing on purpose. Let's take 3 more breaths. remembering this posture because we're going to be doing something a little bit similar in our practice today. Now, if the spine is still straight, it's okay if the back did round a little bit. Let's just help to re-extend the spine and then hinge your way back up so you're nice and tall. And just hold here for a moment, completing that sequence. All right, I'm going to move my props out of the way. Carefully make your way around onto your hands and knees. I'm going to use the blanket here. I'm just going to unfold it so I have some extra padding for my hands and knees. There we go. So knees at one end, hands at the other end, and just meet me here in a tabletop posture. Cat and cow. We're going to inhale just to tip the chin up, looking forward. Feel like your heart is moving forward. At the same time, the pelvis tips back. We create this back bend effect. You're going to feel like your belly is moving down towards the floor. Now, as we exhale, starting with the tail here, tuck or round the hips. Pelvic tilt here. Feel the belly button pull up towards spine. That creates a rounded sensation in the back. Chin tucked in towards chest. This is cat pose. Inhale, let's reverse it. Tip the pelvis back. Belly drops. There's our back bend. Heart opens. Look forward. Exhale, round it out, starting with the back end of the body as best as you can. Feel the belly button pull up towards spine. There's the curvature of the back, chin to chest. And just continue to move at your own pace. Again, not needing to move in the same pace as me, but moving at your own pace. Feeling this wonderful undulation of the spine, but also paying attention to this movement of the pelvis. Getting some wonderful mobility here. Let's finish the breath, and then take 2 more. When you're complete, just come to a neutral tabletop posture. We'll just hold here in stillness for a moment. And then we'll crawl off the blanket. We'll set that to the side. And since we were on our hands and knees, I like to take a moment to find relief for the hands and wrists. So you might tuck your toes underneath and just sit back a little bit like so, just to take the pressure off the hands. And here you might just circle the hands, circle the wrists, wiggle the fingers. I also like to take the palms or the hands and just do a gentle press. We'll counterpose from this position to this position and a gentle press. Very gentle here, not much pressure at all. All right, let's come back to hands and knees. I'm going to step the hands forward so my wrists aren't directly underneath the shoulders. Even spread out your fingers pretty wide as well, creating a strong foundation because we're going to be on our hands for the next posture. Press into the mat so the palms feel flat and open, so your palms get a stretch as well. As I push into the floor, I feel the straightening of the arms, and they feel a little extra strong here. Tuck the toes under. Let's do another set of cat and cow. Starts with cow. It's an inhale, look up or forward, arching the back. There's our back bend. Exhale, round it out. Hold cat pose for a moment. Make sure your toes are tucked. Lift your knees off the floor. Push into the floor with the hands and send your hips into the air like so. This is our downward facing dog. I'm adjusting the feet a little bit. I like to take the feet a bit wider on the mat. Even the hands a little bit wider, so I have a little bit more space for my head, neck, and shoulders. Keep a good bend in the knees. That should allow more mobility in the hips, so you can lift the hips a little higher. Your head and chest will have a natural sinking sensation between the arms. Don't worry if they don't go too deep. That just depends on how flexible and mobile your shoulders are at the moment. Then we're going to step the feet forward until they're underneath us, flat on the mat, like so. Slide your fingertips towards your toes. We'll be in a forward fold. Now inhale and slide your hands up to your shins or knees, only rising up halfway. And kind of settle right here, so you're forming this tabletop posture. Want to feel the feet firmly connected to the floor.
You can keep a bend in the knees. You're going to feel some activation in the legs here. Parallel to the floor, you want to feel an imaginary energy perhaps moving through the top of your head forward and maybe through your tailbone and hips towards the wall behind you. And just support yourself with your hands either on your shins, knees, or thighs. We're going to continue standing. You're going to shift the weight back a little bit into the heel so your toes are light. You can easily tap them. Bend your knees to lower your hips, at the same time lifting chest. You can even use your hands on thighs to help lift a little bit. You'll kind of be in this chair-like position. Make sure the spine feels pretty straight here. Extend your arms out to the side. Continue standing, straightening the legs. I'm just going to turn forward here. And finish by extending the arms all the way up into the air. Then exhale, arms come down to your side. And you've made it to your first standing posture. This is mountain pose. Let's circle the shoulders a few times. Just relieving any tension there. Roll the shoulders back and then forward. Good. So let's move through our half salute to the sun. Basically, it's starting in standing. We take a forward fold and we come back up like we just did. Okay, I'm just going to turn this direction. Starting together in mountain pose. Inhale, extend arms out. Then up, reaching high for the nice extension through the entire body. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into that imaginary chair. So there's that chair-like pose as we flow through it. Let the hands come down. Your belly gets a little closer to your thighs. Hands can touch the shins and just slide your way down. I'm leaning forward towards toes, continuing the fold, feeling the crown of the head draw downward, releasing the head. So your focus might even be between the knees towards the wall behind you. Now inhale and slide the hands back up to the shins or knees, only rising up halfway, finding that centering of the feet. Moving away from toes, more towards the center of the feet. Now we shift all the way to the heels to finish standing. Bend the knees, lower the hips, lift the chest, either press hands into thighs or spread your wings again. Drive the heels into the floor to help you stand up. Reaching a little higher as you're able. Exhale, arms return down to your side. Very good. More circles with the shoulders here. Backward a few times and forward. All right, here I like to move into a variation of Warrior 1 and Warrior 2, paying particular attention to our Warrior 2 because it's going to really help open the hips. Tree pose is our focus, balancing, but it's also a hip opener. Let's start together at the top of the mat. Nice and tall. Let's start by softening the knees. So bend your knees a little bit, shifting your weight into your right foot. I'm leaning forward a little bit towards the toes so I can feel my right foot, my toes, kind of gripping the mat. I want to feel some lightness in this left foot and leg. I'm going to lift the heel, tap the foot back until it just kind of naturally stops. It doesn't go any further. Right there. I'm going to turn this left leg outward and plant the heel onto the floor. So I feel a shift to center and I feel balance. A little bit of distance between the feet. Now, go ahead and place your hands on your hips. You're going to push or feel like you're pushing your pelvis down while the torso feels tall. Lifting, lengthening through the spine. Feeling as if there was a string attached to the top of your head, moving up towards the ceiling. Remember that direction. Feeling tall and slightly turning forward so your heart is facing the same direction as your right knee and toes. Inhale now to extend your arms straight up into the air. And for our variation, we'll bend the elbows to about 90 degrees, something like this. So this is our variation of Warrior 1. Let's hold this for a moment. Now, even though both feet are on the floor, we're in this slight lunge, and I even consider this a way of balancing on 2 feet, but they're not together. Now, inhale, extend the arms straight up. The exhale, you're going to start to turn your torso towards the left side of the room. Slowly, arms will come down to parallel, like so. Reach. Now we need to make some changes with the feet here. I'm going to shift forward a little bit into this front foot. I'm just bending or lunging into this front foot. I'm going to step this left leg back, but see how my toes are kind of pointing inward or this direction?
I'm turning the leg so the toes turn out. Now that's what we want to pay attention to, because we want to feel some nice opening in this area of the body. So let's pay attention to the right leg. Right knee and toes are pointing forward, so there's a sensation of the leg kind of opening out that way. Now on this side, it feels like it's opening out this direction. That's the hip opener, and that's what we want to experience. Now it's nothing too intense. It's very natural and hopefully easy for the hips to open here. Okay, let's go ahead and re-extend the arms out. Here's our warrior two. Last thing, you might just turn your head so you're gazing out past the right hand. One more breath. Good, let's go ahead and release the hands, just bring them down. Now this back leg, it's turned out. I'm going to turn it back in so I can start to turn to face forward. Shifting weight into this front foot as I do so, I'm lifting up onto the toes back there. A little push to step forward so the feet are together. Now we'll go ahead and stand nice and tall. Let's extend the arms up into the air. A nice reach and stretch, everything rising upward. Exhale, arms return to the side. Let's do the other side. Shifting, we're actually bending the knees, so we have soft knees. Now we'll shift into left foot, root into the floor. Lean forward, grip mat with the left set of toes. Right leg and foot feels a little lighter. I'm just picking up the heel and tapping the foot back until it just naturally stops right there. I'm going to turn the right leg out, plant the heel so I'm centered. Place hands on hips. Feel as if you're pushing pelvis down as the torso gets tall. Imaginary string attached to the crown of your head lifting you up. This should give you space around the belt line so you can face forward. So heart facing in the same direction as your left knee and toes. Inhale, extend the arms up into the air. And our modification, exhale, bend elbows to 90 degrees. Our variation of warrior one. Feeling this balancing lunge creation, but a varied pose because we don't have too much distance between the feet and the arms are bent. Inhale, re-extend the arms straight up. Exhale, turn towards the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. I'm going to put some weight into the left foot temporarily by leaning forward so I can pick up this right foot, step back, and then turn that right leg out. And there's our shifting to center, so I feel balanced here. Checking in with alignment. Left knee and toes pointing forward. This left leg feels like it's opening out that direction. Feeling the inner leg open. And the right leg doing the same thing. Opening outward. A nice release. And then you can turn your head to look past your left set of fingers. One more breath. We'll go ahead and relax the arms. That's a lot of work for the shoulders there. I'm going to start to shift my weight a little bit to my left foot, turning this right leg in so everything turns to face forward. A little bend of the knee to step forward. Feet together. Inhale, extend both arms up into the air. Exhale, arms return to your side. Very good. Maybe another circle with the shoulders. All right, let's go through a full sun salutation, recreating warrior one and warrior two, but in different styles. And then we'll start working on our hip openers and the balancing pose, tree pose. Back to mountain pose, standing near the top of your mat. Inhale, extend both arms up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back into the imaginary chair. Chest and belly comes down, let the hands relax, let the head release, looking between the knees. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, only rising up halfway. Now on this exhale, slide down the legs, bend the knees more, let the back round as well. So you can bring your hands to the floor, spread out your fingers, and start walking the feet to the back end of your mat. Now you might need to shift a little bit so your hips are in the same alignment as your shoulders.
and your shoulders are aligned above your wrists. This is plank pose. Breathe in. On your exhale, bend your knees a little, like so, then send your hips up into the air. It's a return to down dog, like we did earlier. I'm stepping the feet forward slightly, as well as taking the feet slightly wider, and adjusting my hands. Knees are bent, hips are lifting, chest is sinking between the arms. Relax the head. Now we're returning to our warrior one. It's a big setup, so step the left foot to center on your mat to help balance the body, because we're going to pick up the right foot. With an inhale, extend the right leg back behind you. Don't worry about the height, because it could be low like this, but really reach. Inhale. Now as you exhale, bend the right knee. Bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chest. You're shifting forward, so your shoulders return to over the wrists. And then just set the right foot down, just be your toes. Now, ideally, we want to get the foot up to this right hand, but you can see I didn't quite make it, and that's okay. If that's the case for you, continue to follow me here. Set the left knee onto the floor. Shift your body weight back, like so you can take the pressure off the hands, especially the right hand. Use the right hand to go pick up the right foot and step it up higher onto the mat. So it is resting behind the right wrist. I'm shifting to put weight back into the hands. Relift this left knee. Here's that outward turn of that left leg, putting the heel on the floor. I'm going to walk my hands back a little bit so I can put more weight into that back foot. I'm starting to extend the spine by rising up onto fingertips. Let's climb up the leg. Bring your hands up to your thigh. Push to lift. Here's that straight back body. About 45 degrees, kind of like chair pose. Okay, chair pose is when the feet were together. Now they're apart. As you're able, reach forward with both arms, hinge from hips, you're facing forward, rising up into your perpendicular to the floor, reaching into the sky. Now here's our lunge. Right knee and toes are pointing forward. You might feel this more now. In this second version of Warrior One, there's more distance between the feet. This left leg is kind of outwardly opening. Nice hip flexor stretch, this portion of the body. Wonderful area to help open up as we prepare for our tree pose. Arms are straight up as best as you can, facing forward. Breathe in. Exhale, turn torso towards left side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Making sure your right knee and toes are pointing forward. This left leg, you might still need to turn outward. There's our hip opener. We're going to take this a little bit further, adding a pose. It's side angle pose. So we're going to angle the upper half of the body, and you'll see this whole side will kind of match this whole left leg behind you, like so. We're going to bring this right hand down, right to the thigh. Now, if you can actually go more and even bring your arm to the floor or to your thigh. Right, for now, I'm just going to use the hand. I'm going to re-extend my left arm up into the air, and this is our side angle pose. So it really just kind of emphasizes this hip opener right here. Let's hold for a couple more breaths. Let's breathe in. On the exhale, we're going to carefully turn. I'm going to bring my hands to this thigh and start to fold. And kind of slide down this leg, bringing hands or fingertips to the floor. I'm going to rise up onto my tiptoes behind here so everything is facing forward. You probably can't see this. My hips are now square. Everything is moving that direction. Sometimes I call this a runner's lunge. I'm going to plant the hands into the mat, so we'll get lower. Push into the floor with those flat hands for strong arms. Lifting the hips as high as they can go so you can pull this right foot back and you'll be in plank pose again. Return to down dog. Bend the knees, send your hips into the air. Make some space, taking the feet a little wider, hands a little wider. Remember, knees stay bent, hips lift high, chest sinks low. Other side. I'm stepping right foot to center of the mat. Inhale, picking up left foot to extend the leg straight back, straight as can be. As you exhale, bend this left knee, shift forward, bringing knee towards chest or chin, right here, shoulders over wrists. I'm setting left foot down. Again, it's not close to the hand at all. That's okay. Set the right knee down, pull the weight back, So you can use this left hand now, pick up left foot, set it up a little higher, right behind the left wrist. Leaning into the hands so I can pick up the right knee. The right leg turns out, plant that heel. I'm walking the hands back to really find that nice centering. Now we have more distance between the feet, and I want to have that balance. Use both hands, climb up the thigh, push into thigh to help extend spine. I'm kind of facing forward there. As you're able, reach forward, rise up, reach up, and lunge, finishing the pose. There's our warrior one. Notice what you feel. Check in with alignment, left knee and toes pointing forward. This knee is stacked nicely over the heel or ankle bone. The right leg is opening outward, getting a hip flexor stretch. Breathe in. Exhale, now turn your torso towards the right side of the room. Arms come to parallel. Again, making sure left knee, this leg doesn't move. Make sure it's still pointing forward. The right leg does turn out. Ready for our side angle pose. Just hinging forward a little bit so the side of the body kind of matches the leg angle, and bring this left hand down to the thigh. Let's re-extend the right arm up and feel as if you're trying to reach up to touch the ceiling. If it feels okay on the neck, turn and look up. Take several breaths. I'm taking 3 breaths. When you're ready, we want to carefully turn, bringing hands to the thigh, kind of lean into it. Sliding down this left leg, hands to the floor, rise up onto the tiptoes behind you. Heel is lifted. Here's our runner's lunge. Plant the palms flat. Push into the floor with the flat palms so you have straight, strong arms. Lift the hips, slide left foot back. Here's plank pose. Very strong body. Now, gently set both knees onto the mat. We're going to sit back briefly. Here's hero. And then off to the side, bringing the legs around to the front. Go ahead and flex the feet here. Hands on the floor by your hips. Pushing hands into the floor to help extend spine. This is called staff pose. It doesn't look very hard, and it isn't very hard, but it is a very active pose. You want to have straight legs, flex feet, long torso, shoulders back, deep breaths. Now we're moving to a pose that's called head to knee pose. Now we're not literally going to bring our heads down to our knees, but the sensation or the creation of the pose is going to resemble our featured posture, which we haven't gotten to yet, tree pose. So let's start here. We're going to keep the right leg straight with the foot flexed. I'm going to bend this left knee and bring this foot to inner thigh. Now my knee can actually touch the floor, but in case yours doesn't, that's fine. You might want to place something underneath. It could be a pillow or a block or something that just adds some support here. Now if your foot doesn't make it up to the thigh, that's fine. You can slide it down towards the knee or even the calf. Remember this because this is what we'll be doing in tree pose, which is the standing posture. I am going to keep this foot up a little higher and keep this block here. I'm just going to adjust my seat. Alrighty, we want to get nice and tall. So inhale, extend the arms up, but still feel like there's a string attached to the head and pulling you up. Exhale, start to hinge forward a little bit and bring the hands down. I'm just going to bring the hands to the floor as a way to support my body. Now we did something similar. Remember, we had both feet together touching, knees bent pointing out to the side. That was our bound angle pose. And I wanted you to remember that because we're resembling that sensation here, except we have one leg extended. So head to knee pose. Again, not literally bringing head to the knee. I like to think that you're sending your heart or your chin out toward your toes. That way you keep the spine straight and you can feel this nice stretch that's happening in this extended leg.
And you don't have to go down too far, at least I don't. And it's actually okay to bend this right knee. If you need to bend it, that's fine. You might even, if you've got a little towel or something, I'm just going to use my blanket, you can tuck it underneath the knee for a little extra support since you are folding. All right, let's just take 3 more breaths here. All right, when you're ready, just rise back up nice and tall. I'm going to lift this left knee and extend the leg out. Return to staff pose. Just to realign the body. Let's prepare for the other side. So now left leg will stay straight. I'm going to bend the right knee. Bring this foot to inner left thigh or lower if you need to. Still going to use my block over here for a little extra support. Adjust the seat. As you're able, extend both arms up. Exhale, hinge forward just a little bit, and then bring hands down to the floor or even your leg. I like the floor because you can kind of push into the floor a little bit to help you extend the spine. And hinge forward just a tiny bit more. This is about the end for me. Remember, you don't have to go too far or too deep into these poses, especially in our soft flow class. Our intention is to really feel the benefit of each pose without forcing your body into the postures. Getting our nice hamstring stretch in a gentle way. Hinging forward, but also getting this hip opener on this right side. And this is part of what we're creating or we'll recreate once we're in standing, balancing in tree pose. And that's coming up next. Let's take 3 more breaths. You can use your hands to help press and lift yourself up until you're nice and tall. Let's return to staff pose to realign the body. So I'm lifting this right knee, extending the leg, adjusting my seat. Hands on the mat by the hips, push down, lengthen spine. You can roll the shoulders back. A couple breaths here. Now, if you'd like, you can return to cobbler's pose or that bound angle pose. Just bringing both feet together, like we did earlier. Just holding onto the shins, ankles, or toes, and nice and tall. A couple breaths. All right, let's release. Let's come to hands and knees. While we're here, let's just do another cat-cow flow. So inhale, tip the chin up, feel the arching of the back. That's cow. Exhale into cat, rounding the spine, chin to chest. Once again, the mobility of the spine and the mobility of the hips and pelvis. All right, let's get ready for our featured pose, tree pose, using these other elements we've already practiced. Okay, back to a neutral tabletop posture. Let's return to down dog. Let's step the hands forward, spread out your fingers for a good base. Press or lean into the palms, flat hands. Strong straight arms, tuck your toes. One more cat-cow. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Hold cat, tuck toes, lift knees, send hips into the air. Chest sinks between the arms. Adjust the feet, adjust the hands. Hold for a breath. Let's step both feet forward just to the center of the mat should do it. So you can slide the fingertips toward your toes, and there's our forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, only lifting up halfway to a flat back. Exhale here. Shifting weight now into the heels again. Bend the knees, lower the hips, lifting chest. Maybe pressing hands into thighs to assist the standing process. Nice and tall. Inhale, both arms up into the air. Exhale, arms return to your side. Good, let's roll the shoulders. All right, let's move into tree pose. Now on the first side, I'm going to use this wall to help me balance. And I'm going to do a variation of where the foot goes. Once I get to the other side, I'm going to do a more pronounced version or fuller version of tree pose. So I'm just going to stand over here a little bit. So we're going to be balancing on the right foot. I'm going to be mirroring you, so stand on your right foot. So if you need to stand near a wall, a table, or a chair, go ahead and do that, okay? Now, we want the feet to be about hip distance apart with your toes pointing forward, just to establish balance and alignment mainly through the lower half of the body. We're in mountain pose, so you feel the lengthening of the spine, the shoulders are naturally rolled back, arms down by your side. You might even turn the palms forward. Alrighty, let's set this up. We are going to start with softness in the knees, so we're not locking out the knee joints. Start shifting your weight into your right foot. We're going to be balancing on that foot. I'm going to be placing my hand on the wall. I have a little ledge right here. I'm just going to put my hand here. Let me get a little closer. Just like this. Softness in the knees, shifting weight. There we go. And inhale, just feel the lengthening of the spine, getting tall. Exhale, pull belly button in. Now I'm going to peel the left heel off the floor and even pick up the foot, flexing the foot until my thigh is about parallel to the floor. Now with my hand on this ledge here, I can easily balance. I'm going to swing the knee out, okay, until it naturally stops. That's that hip opener, that stretch in the inner leg. And then I'm going to place the foot on the inside of the standing leg. For a variation, I'm going to bring it all the way down. So my toes are on the floor. The heel is right above my ankle bone. But I can feel that the knee is pointing mostly to the side of the room. My hips are square. I'm even pushing the pelvis forward slightly. And so there I'm creating that hip opener. Lastly, with my free hand, extending the arm into the air. So this is tree pose and a wonderful variation if you need a little extra stability. Using a wall or table or chair on one side, especially on the side that you're balancing on. And then the hip opener, knee pointing out to the side, but using the floor for a little extra grounding. When we're complete, we'll go ahead and bring this arm back down. I'm going to swing my left knee forward, even picking up the foot a little bit, and then the knee, and then plant it onto the floor next to the other. I'm going to free this hand, and I've returned to mountain pose. All right, now you can do the exact same thing on the other side, but I'm going to do a more full version as I do the second side. So I'm going to stand near the center of the mat, still aligning the feet, toes pointing forward, softening the knees, now shifting weight into the left foot. Your hand can be on a wall or table or chair on this side. I want to keep it free, but a soft knee. Inhale, feel tall. Now as you exhale, pull your belly button in towards your spine. Nice engagement here to help us with balance. This is a nice stabilizing tool. I'm going to peel my right heel off the floor, lifting the knee by lifting the foot, like so. Foot is flexed. It's okay if you lose your balance, get a little wobbly there. I'm going to swing this knee out until it naturally stops. I can go a little bit more, making sure the hips are square, still facing forward. Now, just using my hand, I'm going to bring this foot to inner thigh, way high. And because it's a larger muscle, I'm going to push firmly into this inner thigh to help with the stability of the pose. Meanwhile, thigh is pushing into the foot. So it's kind of like this sensation, foot to thigh, thigh to foot. We're also doing the same sensation with the belly button pulling in towards spine. Now, another variation quickly is you can bring this foot to the calf area there, okay? But I'm going to that full version as you're able. All right, balancing carefully, there we go. Now, inhale, both arms go up into the sky as you're able. Reach, nice lifting sensation. You want to feel like the crown or the top of your head is being drawn upward. Reach, lift. Your focus is directly forward, or even just drop your eyes downward at the floor. That might even help you balance. So you can see and feel we are balancing, even though we've got some wobbles, that's okay. We have a nice core connection to help with this balance. Standing on one leg, so a hamstring stretch or strengthening really, and a hip opener with the knee out to the side.
All right, let's keep the arms extended this time. Let's swing this right knee forward, lifting the knee with the flexed foot, so free the foot. Now we'll replant that foot into the ground, balance on both feet, and arms return to your side. Shake it all loose. Very nicely done. So two versions there. So one a little bit more modified using props like walls and things like that, or even just having toes on the floor for your tree pose or that full expression of the posture. All right, let's start our closing sequence. Let's start in mountain pose, standing near the top of the mat. Let's take a breath or two here. Here we go. Inhale, extend the arms into the sky. Exhale, let's fold forward. Another good hinge of the hips. Bend your knees as much as you need to, and just guide your way down. Maybe reaching your toes, relax the head, look between the knees. Inhale, slide your hands up to the shins or knees, rising up halfway. There's our flat back. Exhale, fold all the way down. Bend your knees more. Hands out in front, spread out your fingers, plant the hands. Walk the feet back, plank pose. Lower the hips so they're shoulder level, shoulders over wrists. There's our plank pose. We hold here for strength. And then we're going to set the knees down. Carefully sit back to hero pose, but very briefly, we're sitting off to the side. Swing the legs around to the front. You want to scoot so you're sitting in the center of the mat. We are going to lie down, but this is where you're going to use your blocks. We're going to move into a back bend. So if you have some yoga blocks or some hardbound books, we want to use those. You can even use a very firm pillow. Not too soft. You want something firm because you want some stability. Go ahead and roll down onto your back. Go ahead and draw the knees into chest. Hug them in. And since the feet are free, I like to add movement in the feet. I like to flex and point and then circle both directions, even wiggle the toes. Now we're going to set the feet onto the floor. Feet can also be a bit wider than hips. Plant the feet firmly. Make sure you can grab your books or blocks. Breathe in, fill up your lungs. Maybe exhale through the mouth so you can feel the air leave your belly. Feel that core engagement, lifting the hips away from the ground, high enough really to slide your books or blocks underneath you. I've got 2 blocks. They happen to be thinner blocks, so I can get 2 underneath me easily. Now, if you've got those thicker blocks, you may only need 1. And then just kind of settle yourself in. Feet are in a good spot. I like to get the shoulders a bit underneath the body a little bit, just to continue to experience some opening up through the chest and shoulders. The sensation resembles what we did a long time ago in our practice, where we were seated up tall, and I had you bring your arms behind you, and you can feel that opening in that front shoulder area and the upper pectoral. Arms can just remain flat on the ground. This feels fine since I'm sitting on the blocks. But if you weren't sitting on blocks and really just sustaining yourself in midair, you may want to use your arms. So I like to bend the elbows so your arms are at 90 degrees and just press down into the ground with the triceps and elbows and shoulders too to help sustain the lift. But you may not need to do that here. You can even make this a little bit more relaxed. I'm going to add an element here. But first, just experience this nice opening for the whole front side of the body. It's gentle, it's easy, since we're not trying to sustain ourselves up, but just seated comfortably. So a nice opening through the upper thighs, hip flexors, around the belt line, even your low belly. And of course, the chest. Now you can move into this next pose with me, or just stay here. And you can do this while still seated on blocks, but you can also move the blocks out from underneath you. It's a hip opener. So I'm going to step the feet in close so that the inner legs touch or are just very close to touching. And then carefully send the knees outward, and even the soles of the feet touch. So it's resembling seated when we brought the feet together to the bound angle pose. In this case, we're lying down, of course, and we're propped up on these blocks, which means the knees or the legs are farther away from the floor. So you're going to feel more of a pull gravity pulling the legs open, a more, I'll say, intense stretch in the inner legs. And if it's too intense, you certainly don't need to hold this too long, and we're not going to. I just wanted you to experience this feeling. Let's go ahead and bring the knees back up, plant the feet, let the body neutralize here. Now, coming out of the pose, press feet into the floor, lifting the hips high enough so you can move the blocks out from underneath you. And then come back down. Now you can do that same pose we just did on the blocks. Let's bring the feet together again. Let the legs carefully open. And that should feel less intense. And you can even, if you can still reach your blocks, bring your blocks underneath the knees so they are propped open, like so. This is a wonderful pose. It takes some of that intensity out compared to being lifted into the air sitting on those blocks. Now you're flat, legs are open. So we can consider this the reclining version of bound angle pose. A couple more breaths here. And then you can bring the knees together, plant the feet. Just going to move my blocks to the side, out of the way. Let's go for a twist. Let's draw the knees into the body, catch the shins with your hands. If you want to add more movement to the feet, that's good. And we're going to do a spinal twist. We'll start by sending both knees over to the left side of the room. I like to extend the right arm up towards the ceiling and then open it outward to the right side of the room. And that creates our twist. It's a rotation through the torso and spine. And just notice where you feel this. For me, I do feel this in my lower back, a little bit in the outer hip. And if you just take this left hand, you can just rest it on top of this leg, and just that natural weight of the hand just helps the pose. You're not trying to push that leg down at all, really. Just let it rest, because you might feel a little bit extra pull. And if that doesn't feel good, just free that hand out to the side. Five deep breaths. And when you're complete, let's bring the knees back up to center. Let's hold here. And let's send the knees over to the right side. Same thing, careful. This right hand will just rest it on top of this left leg, the top leg. Natural weight of the hand will pull it down. Extend left arm up into the air and extend it out to the left side of the room. Now, if this is too intense, maybe remove this right hand, or if it's still too intense and you feel like you're over-rotating, what you might want to do is, again, just prop your legs up by placing something underneath this bottom leg. It could be a couple of blocks or a rolled up blanket, towel, or a pillow. You can even place something between the knees or thighs, because they don't have to touch, alrighty? And maybe just placing something soft like a pillow between the knees will add comfort. And you can then relax into the pose. Let's take 3 more breaths. And when you're complete, let's slowly return to center. Feel how the spine comes back to a neutral place. I'm just bringing the knees in, just adding some very gentle movements. And now we're ready for Shavasana. You can go ahead and set the feet down. Now this could be your resting point right here, keeping the knees bent, feet flat on the floor. For some, this is a little bit more relaxing for the low back. Otherwise, you can extend the leg. For some, this is comfortable. For others, it may not, because it might put tension in the back since you're just lying flat on the floor. I think we're a little bit more used to maybe bending the knees maybe in a fetal position while we're sleeping, for example. And so lying flat may not be as comfortable as we think it might be. So it's okay to change this position. But if you are here, just let the feet relax, let the legs relax. Your hips may do the same thing. Your whole upper body, low back, upper back, shoulders, and arms just resting on the ground. Take a couple of deep breaths. Nice full breath in. Exhale. As you're relaxing, your eyes can remain opened with soft eyelids and just softly gazing upward. Or of course, just close your eyes and continue this meditative moment moving inward. And you're focusing just on the sensation of breath. It might be a little bit lighter, even a little quieter. But see if you can just keep your focus on your breath. Continue to focus on your breath. Stay in this meditative moment. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like, especially if you feel quite relaxed. Just stay here, feel this restful moment, and take advantage of it. Even as I end the practice and come up to seated, you're welcome to stay here in Shavasana. And when you are ready to move, rather than moving your body too quickly, start with the movement of breath. Take 5 deep breaths. And your body will kind of move naturally to the fullness of each inhale and exhale. And let that movement of the body and breath bring more movement to the rest of your body. After your 5th breath, begin your movement. Take your time and go in slow motion. I'm bending the knees, feet on the floor. Slowly rolling to one side. You can even pause here in this nurturing pose. With some energy and a new breath, I'm pressing to lift, coming to a seated posture. You can cross your legs here. Even feel free to sit on a prop. Arms can just rest down by your side or in your lap, or bring hands to heart center. Take another deep breath in and out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow saying, Namaste.
Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.